everything that I know says I gotta go, tired of going solo, but I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is, this is who I am, this is where I finally take my stand. I didn't want to fall, but I don't have to crawl. I'm not the one with two scarred hands, giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this man. I've been born again.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Black Coffee. Eddie Huff, Dave Van Risingham on this warm, beautiful, crisp November day in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you could call this Fresh Black Coffee Take 2 this morning. By the way, I want to make an announcement that we're going to be going an hour earlier up until December for about a month here, as Dave Van Risingham here has a lighting business that he needs to take care of, and we'll explain more about that later. We spent about 20 minutes discussing it earlier, but we did not have the recording on, so you wouldn't know about it. But we have a special guest online.
All right. We're going to the home of one David Oldham in Broken Arrow, and David's got a special announcement going on this week, a premiere in Tulsa at the movie theaters. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
All right. Tell us what's going on this Thursday night at the Cinemark in East Tulsa.
Well, we have a world premiere of a brand new movie. Going to be Thursday, the 9th of this month of November at 6 p.m. We're opening the doors. 7 p.m. We'll roll the film. But this is a movie that we wish we didn't have to make, but just had to make it. It's called Shot Dead, and it is about people who have gotten the safe and effective COVID vaccine.
The experimental vaccine?
If you want to call it that.
The one with an emergency authorization?
Yes, that one. Well, there were several, but this one specifically was they tended to focus on the one from Pfizer. Okay. But these were youngsters who according to everybody actually was not in the demographic to need the shot, but they got it, and just as the movie implies, didn't survive.
Oh.
And so I think it's an important movie that people need to come out and see, because, you know, so many of us talk about it, but do we really know, or do we know anybody who has actually experienced, you know, the side effects of the shot? We've heard that it was going to be bad and that people are, you know, dying left and right from it and things like that. But now you'll be able to actually meet parents whose children suffered for it, and we will have at least 2 of the 3 families at the event answering questions after the movie, and then so you'll get a chance to actually meet them,
right?
If you come out.
Now, the Cinemark, that's one of the nicer theaters in town. That's going to be a great spot for a premiere.
It's right off Memorial. It's on Memorial Road, 169. 71st. I mean, 71st and 169.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. If you see
exactly.
Target's across the street. It's a couple miles from Woodland Hills Mall to the east. So, anyway, so if I already believe that, you know, the shots were oversold and were more dangerous, you don't need to convince me. But, David, if they go to the show, what are they helping support?
Well, this is also a fundraiser, and what they are actually supporting is the work that is being done on behalf of not only these parents, but others like them, and people like the movie makers who have lost their jobs because they did not succumb to demands that they get the shot from their employers. And so they are bringing, We the Patriots is a litigation law firm. like so many, they're raising money to bring litigation around the country. They don't do all the litigation themselves, but they work with lawyers around the country and fund these cases wherever the case may be, to try to get some justice to overturn some of these things. And because of their work, actually the needle has been moved. And so when you come out, and don't choke at the price of the tickets, but the funds are going to a good cause.
Good. Okay. So now this isn't just some home movie or, kind of low budget thing. You've got some professional media people that have helped put this together, right? You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. The PGA fired a bunch of people because they wouldn't get the vaccine. They demanded that everybody that worked for them get the vaccine, and they said no. And Karen was on-air talent. If
Tell
you
us who
watch
that
the
person
PGA
is.
tour, Karen is the filmmaker, the producer of the film. And if you're into golf, you may have seen her on air narrating golf tournaments and being out in the field and talking with the players and the golfers and so forth. But then Jason is the cameraman who did all the camera work. He and his wife did the camera work, and they worked for the PGA as well on the production side, the camera side of things. Okay. And so this is who made the movie, and they lost their jobs. And so, they were kind of without anything else to do, and got mad and realized that they need to bring awareness, and then all the parents wanted to bring awareness, and so everybody came together. It was a good collaboration. So
let's just be straight up with the folks. We are asking them to come show their support, and actually, this is a fundraiser. So what are the tickets going to run?
Tickets are at this point $50.
$50.
50. The go to shotdead.org.
All right.
And that will take you to the only place that you can buy tickets and sign up for the movie. This is a premiere. This is going out around the country. This will also be simulcast to around the country. And so when you come, you're going to find your face on national a national broadcast and so forth. But I think what this really does is it helps to bring light and helps these families to be able to get the word out.
I got you.
They feel like they're in a silo by themselves.
Okay, so what I'm saying here, David, that the production team rented the theater out, so every additional seat that gets filled up, none of that money goes to the theater because we've already got a set price.
Correct.
And we're not using Ticketmaster or somebody that scalps tickets that's going to get their cut. So all of your money is going directly to the legal representation advocacy, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Let
me ask you quickly, David. If people wanted on the website, are people able to just donate without going to the theater?
I'm sorry, I can barely hear your question. I really couldn't make it out.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. People that cannot or are not able to attend the showing, are they able to just donate on the website as well?
Yes. When you go to shotdead.org, it takes you to the movie page for We the Patriots, and there is a donate button right there. And that is straight to the litigation fund. Okay. And so yes, you can donate and you can tag it to a particular piece of litigation if you know all the different things they're doing. I mean, they're doing work all over the place with all sorts of different types of litigation. I mean, there's gun rights in Connecticut to vaccines and liberty all over the place. This This is basically we, the patriots, trying to get patriotism back into the courts and defend it.
Yeah, and David, you're from right here in the Tulsa metro area. You've worked with a lot of these national groups. I know you've traveled around, testified before legislatures, picketed in front of other legislatures.
Right.
And so you know who's doing the real work. I know that because I've known you for a long time. So I appreciate you coming on today and letting us know about it. Again, shotdead.org, because you got to get your ticket in advance. And then Thursday, come on anytime after 6 p.m. But the show, they're opening the doors at 7. Did I get that right?
You got it great. Thank you so much for having me and helping us get the word out.
All right.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
All right. Thank you.
Bless
Bye-bye.
you, brother. Bye.
Wow. Well, there you go. Tulsa's doing a world premiere, Eddie. I appreciate what David's done so much on things like that. So
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think if I'm not mistaken, we used to. There's the company here that actually had the film rights. They started out doing PGA years ago.
okay,
And they ended up kind of monopolizing, or what would you say, capturing that market.
yeah,
So it was a Tulsa company, film company, that did that. So I have a feeling the camera people are from Tulsa.
I'll bet you.
Yeah, and that's how that happened, and Dave got involved with that. So that's good. So yeah, if you all are free Thursday evening and available, it'd be a great thing to go see and go do. And I have to check it out. I think my wife is going to on one of her safaris. Mm-hmm. She's going back to California.
Yeah.
The good news, by the way, my wife has these trips she has to take for some reason to see grandchildren.
Of course.
And we've got 2 in Northern California, 2 in Southern California, and she divvies her time. And usually when she goes see one, the others happen to drive 8 hours to go see the others.
Wow.
Anyway, but I have news.
Yes.
We are going to have another Huff.
Oh.
One in Tulsa.
Oh. This one will be spoiled rotten.
And it's it's a Huff.
Yes.
It's one that's going to carry the name on.
There you go. There you
So
go.
it's a boy.
Yeah.
We found out last night. They had the reveal. It's going to be a boy. And so I'm lobbying. I kind of put the bug in the parents' ear that my daughter-in-law, her dad's name was Alan. Mm-hmm. My dad's name was Larry. Mm-hmm. But I kind of put the bug in the ear that she could name the kid Eddie or Alan.
Yeah.
And Lawrence is my dad, so it could be Eddie Lawrence or Eddie Allen Eddie.
Yeah.
One of the two. So I kind of threw it out there.
Yeah. I tell you.
And I will keep reinforcing it a little bit.
Well, I don't think you were any more blunt than my dad was.
Oh, really?
I had been married. Now, I'm married fresh out of she just graduated high school. And, she spent the summer making her own wedding dress. Who does that anymore? And it was gorgeous. But we hadn't been married a year. She had just turned 19, and we're back home visiting. And my dad says, David, why don't you have a baby yet? We're sitting around a huge, long picnic table. We put 2 of them together because big fan. I'm from a family of 11. And he yells down. He says, what's wrong? Did she marry a bum steer? That's my dad. Yeah. And then my oldest brother says, no, I'm getting serious. It's time to settle down, David. And my only response is, she's 19. They say teen pregnancy is a problem. I will be adding to that statistic if we have a baby now.
Well, it didn't seem to hurt the Virgin Mary.
I know. Yeah.
What was she, 14 or something?
Oh, yeah.
14, 15, something like that. You know, some of these, I don't know, some of these stories or idea.
Oh, you
I
get a
think
bunch
if
of...
God wants you to have a child, it doesn't matter what. You know, I used to get into it with Pat Campbell very regularly. He always had an issue with older men marrying younger women.
It's called jealousy.
You know, I think you may have something. Oh, I don't know, but anyway, no. Some people just you know, you're taught certain things.
Yeah.
You know, I remember. I don't know what grade I was in, but I don't know if it was civics, because I know I didn't take sociology in junior high or high school. But you learn about mores, right? Social mores, and it's one of those mores that, you know, in our society that you know, you just don't marry. But what is the age? So, for example, my one of our good friends, his wife was 12 years younger than him, and so we used to joke, you know, or he would joke even, you know, that like when he was a senior, and his friends would say, "Hey, let's go over to the, you know, to this place and hang out, shoot some hoops, or go down here to the malt shop or whatever." He said, "Oh no, that's how I got to run down here to the kindergarten and see my girl." He's a senior. He's a senior in high school. He's got to go to the kindergarten. But when you put it in that perspective, I mean, when you think about it, his wife was literally in kindergarten when he was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of shocks. But when they got a certain age, it wasn't a big deal anymore. And they were happily married, had two sons, you know, and they were our best friends there in Germany.
Sure.
He's still a missionary. They were missionaries, and they had a ministry, their own ministry, smuggling Bibles into Turkey, Azerbaijan, places I'd never even heard of until I learned about Azerbaijan back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Azer what? Bijan what? You know, and you know, in this places he would go, you know, they're riding donkeys in the mountains and stuff, and taking Bibles into these places to these people. And Pakistan and all these places, that was their ministry, you know. But and she would be home taking care of the kids. She would go on certain trips every night. They go to Pakistan and Afghanistan and all these places for years. And I met Max. Max is his name. I met him when he was with he used to be. They were both with YWAM.
Yes, Youth with the Mission.
And he was with a singing group called The Family way back in the early 70s. And they happened to come through Dallas. And I met him there as he was part of The Family. And one of the guys in the family, Steve Greisen, married Nellie Greisen. Does that name mean anything to you?
Does so.
Second chapter of Acts.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I knew. Yeah, Nellie. Was it?
No.
Was that the last name? Well, no, her name before that
Yeah.
was Ward, right?
Nellie Ward, right.
Yeah.
Matthew Ward's sister.
Yes.
But she became Nellie Greisen. But anyway,
Yes.
Steve Greisen, Max Hatfield, and I can't remember the leader. But anyway, they came to Dallas, and I met them there, and they were a bunch of young kids. But anyway, so I was talking about Max, but the age difference there.
Yeah.
They used to joke, but but you know, so to me, these mores that we have sometimes, they don't always work. You know, and I used to get with Pat. I used to say, like you said, and I did. I kind of told him, I said, "You're just jealous," you know. I mean, because you know, the bottom line is, do you really care for one another?
Yeah.
And I don't even use the word love, because a pastor, the pastor that married us, he's passed away now, but when he did the counseling with us, he says, how committed are you? He says, I know you think you're in love. He used the word think. He said, everybody comes in here and wants to get married, says they're in love, but you're going to wake up one day and you're not in love. You know, love will fade, but love is not a feeling. You know?
Real love.
Right. He says, are you committed? Are you committed? You know, are you, you know, when you wake up and that feeling is gone, that nice warm feeling and so forth, then, you know, are you going to stick it through?
Yeah.
And you got to battle through. I mean, this is for you people out here, many of you, because it's easy to check out, because at some point in your marriage, you're going to have to ask that question.
Right. Absolutely.
Is this worth? And you know, I'll tell you what has helped me through some of those times. You know, I've been married now 47 years. I'm heading towards 47 and a half. It'll be 50 here in a year, 2.5 years. But what helped me is when you ask the question, are you really going to find something better? You know, because the devil or your mind, your lying eyes or your lying mind would try to convince you that, oh, you can trade this in for something better. There's something better out there. But, you know, when you really stop and ask yourself the question, are you really going to find something better out there? Or are you being deceived?
Yeah.
Or, you know, because unfortunately, a lot of the problem that you're leaving is you, and you're taking that with you.
Yeah.
And so you're not actually fleeing anything. You're taking the problem with you, and is this new relationship going to be any different or whatever? You know, so there's so many factors involved. So you really have to ask yourself, is this worth fighting for? Is there something better out there? Now, as the scripture says, there are circumstances. If you've got a situation where the husband is so abusive,
Or the
wife is so, yeah, you have abusive wives too.
Yes.
Or they're so philandering that it's just like one of my best friends, another one of my best friends, horrible. I mean, if I told you what was going on with his wife, his first marriage, way back.
Yeah.
It only lasted probably a year, but
Right.
I mean, unbelievable story. I mean, you know, you can't believe, or I used to not believe women could be like this, but after that, I actually saw it with my own eyes. So that was a situation that, you know, he had to get out of, and actually she helped him get out of it. But the general normal marriage is you're going to have to fight through it.
Well, yeah, Eddie, my family's been through struggles. There were times when, I not only was taking care of all 3 kids by myself, but taking care of my disabled wife for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I was trying to hold down a job and start a business. And I remember one day I was over at the home of a doctor's family. They have 4 kids. And then the neighbor mentions to me, well, they're probably getting a divorce. And I said, oh, I was talking to the neighbor because she wanted me to give her a bid on some work, an estimate. And she said, yeah, she deserves better. I mean, these are people making $1 million a year, living in the lap of luxury, got their health and everything. And I think, really? If what you deserve is the standard by which you justify it, what do I deserve?
Yeah.
Do I deserve taking care of a disabled spouse and raising, no. But you know what, Eddie? Amy Grant said something one time, one of those profound things. She talked about this youth group that wanted to meet in that barn on her farm. And she and Gary wanted to, we got to clean it up here. And they're scrubbing that barn clean, scrubbing old dried on manure and everything. She said, and the funny thing is by the time we got that presentable, we were so committed to that youth group because we had sacrificed so much. She said, you find your identity in that which you commit yourself to. I mean, you are a father, Eddie, because you've sacrificed for those children. You find your identity in it, and that's really what I'm getting at. The last thing I want to say is,
I just want to say,
Yeah.
it's too bad that Amy and Gary didn't scrub their marriage.
yeah, I know, yeah. But when you're dealing, and they were open about his substance abuse issues and the dangers that were involved in there. But what I want to say, when a 50-year-old man marries a 25-year-old woman, the real victim is the 40-year-old divorcee woman who didn't get a chance at him. She's jealous. That's who's offended.
That's true. That's true. It's like a friend of mine. Okay, he was an All-American high school football player. So he goes to SMU and ends up finishing there. Goes to law school, becomes a very successful attorney, and marries this lady there. And man, where was I headed with this? Gee, I've lost my train of thought. We were talking about
The
marriage.
jealous
Oh,
40-year-old.
yeah, that's right. Okay, so he's black. That's where I was headed with this. Okay, and so anyway, he was talking to me, and we both experienced this. I have to tell you this. So, in fact, this is years ago when I was dating my wife.
Yeah.
And so for those that don't know, my wife is Caucasian. So anyway, so we're in Denny's in South Dallas, an entire black wait crew of waitresses. And so we're sitting there eating, looking at our menu, and we look over, and these waitresses that are all like, I don't want to wait on. No, I'm not going to wait on. Finally, this one girl comes by. She lost. I guess she got the short straw or so. So she had to wait on it. She comes. She throws the menus down, and I said, "What is wrong with you? Are you serious?" I just let her have it. I said,
You picked up on it.
"Oh yeah, I knew right away what was going on." I said, "What's wrong with you? Do you know me? Do you know her? Have we done anything to you?" Oh, no. Well, so what's the attitude? Why are you acting like this? We're here to eat. We're not here to come to your house. We're not here to take something from you. You and your friends over there, blah, blah. Anyway, I guess it just shook the girl up and everything. To her credit, it just totally changed her. Oh, I'm sorry, and she took care of us, did well. We left her a good tip and everything. And then my friend, he was at SMU back in. He was one of the very first the first black player in the Southwest Conference was a guy named Jerry Levias. You may have remembered the receiver. Well, he came, I think the same year as Jerry Levias, or maybe a year later. But he was a linebacker. Anyway, so he met his wife there, and her parents were millionaires. But anyway, we just started sharing about how these, black girls or black women would just shun, like they just act snooty if we try to talk to them normally. But as soon as they see you with a white girl or Hispanic, whatever, then all of a sudden they get an attitude that they're taking our man.
Yes.
They're taking our man. Well, wait a minute. He wasn't your man a minute ago. You didn't want anything to do with that man.
Right.
But now all of a sudden he's your man. It's that type of attitude, and it's just weird. And but he used to, oh my goodness, Michael would just have me cracking up. I would just be dying laughing the way he would talk about it. And it turned out, his wife, she came, her parents were multimillionaire. They had a cattle ranch there in Texas. Hundreds of head of cattle and gauchos. They had a ranch house with all these Mexican gauchos, cowboys. The real thing. It was like. It was unbelievable. It was like I was on Bonanza when I went to his funeral. Got to speak at his funeral, but out on this ranch there in the middle of around Abilene, it was something else. But anyway, the family finally they disowned her for a while and all this, but it, as always, they ended up embracing it. It's funny what does it. The first child.
Yeah.
You know, you have a child. That little girl became their granddaughter, and they were so proud. They just loved that girl to death.
Sure.
You know, and she used to go. They'd go. The grandkids would go there for the summer and stay on that ranch, and they got spoiled, you know, on that ranch and everything.
Yeah.
And their grandparents didn't care that the kids were brown or anything. They were their grandchildren, you know, that kind of thing. So it's funny how that works. But getting back to the original thing, it was just so interesting, the dynamic. And it's not, I'm not just talking about, you know, the black culture, but just in general, there's this thing where you have people, you want to take something for granted, even have disdain for it, until you see somebody else wants it. Then also, no, that's mine.
Yeah.
You know, that's just covetousness. That's just covetousness. That's just selfish greed and you know, covetousness. And that's something God hates.
Yeah.
God hates that.
You know, and it happens not just over race, but sometimes it's, you know, turf. I remember I was 16, just got my driver's license in the car, and I remember, you know, the liberty it gives you. And the northern suburb just outside of Little Falls, my hometown, central Minnesota, I just drive up there and I see an old friend of mine, and I said, you know, because I used to go hang out up there with him. I said, hey, where is everybody? I mean, you know, used to see a lot of kids in the neighborhood. You know, I said, where's Dina? Where's Katie? You know, and I said, that was it. Well, then we left, and the next time I drive, I find out all the teenage boys in this neighborhood are furious at me because this kid, about a half hour later, saw a group of these kids, boys and girls, just kind of hanging out together. And he says, hey, Dina, Katie, David Van was wondering where you guys were. It was like I'm hitting them. All of a sudden, those boys were just jealous, territorial, and possessive. You leave our girls alone.
Yep.
Now, none of them were dating these girls.
You just hit the secret of gang warfare.
Yeah.
That's what gang, it's over turf.
Yes.
Our girls. That's our girls.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's what gang and tribal warfare.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you the story. I went to Nashville when I had the gospel, our record label.
Yeah.
And so we went to this black gospel magazine, the biggest black gospel magazine. And so I'm sitting out there, and the editor found out that I was out there. And well, he found out that I had been to Africa, missionary. And so he was all excited. Oh, brother, hey, what's up, brother? Hey, man, I hear you've been to Africa. I said, yeah. He said, man, brother, tell me, what's it like? What did you learn? What did you bring back? I said, tribalism. What do you mean? Tribalism. That we brought back tribalism. And the guy just got mad. He just got mad. He turned around, just went back in his office. And it's true, because the gang mentality, that's exactly what the tribalism is about. So for example, oh man, we'll have to do a whole show on the partitioning of Africa.
Yeah,
why Africa has not been able to get together.
But why did they?
But basically, that's the whole thing about tribalism. Our tribe, you don't mess with our tribe, and a lot of it always surrounds around one thing: women.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. So, but two things mainly, but women is a very big part of it. It's amazing, and land. Yeah, land and women.
Yeah, I mean, men can be very possessive. I'm just saying, it's also true that the 40-something-year-old women feel like they have dibs on the 40-something-year-old men. And they don't want some, skank 25-year-old coming around taking
25-year-old.
Because if she's 25, she's got to be a skank.
Yeah, I think I've talked about this before in Philadelphia when I was there. they had the various gangs.
Yeah.
And there was one called Bricktown, and Bricktown was white kids. They're mainly Polish and Irish, but it was in a certain area of North Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to go there. In fact, when we went, I went to Catholic school, and I would sit next to these. It was mostly white kids in the Catholic school, but so kids that I sat next to, I couldn't walk through their neighborhood. I had to go around. And when we're bordering them, if they saw us headed there, they would be there. And I'd see my classmates there with rocks and things, throwing rocks at me to keep me from coming through their neighborhood. And then we'd go back to school. It was like the Coyote and Roadrunner.
Wow.
That when you punch the clock, like when we're in school, we're friends.
Yep.
When we're out of school, we can't, we have to fight.
Jeez.
But anyway, so Bricktown, was one of the gangs, and the black kids feared Bricktown.
Yeah.
Because these were some mean white boys. I mean, these were some mean white kids there. And in fact, you don't want to mess with the old Scottish, Irish, Polish kids. Those were some mean, historically, they were very, very mean and very, very vicious. Look at the Vikings. I don't know if you've ever seen, with the Vikings, but that's the whole Northern and Eastern Europeans. They were a tough group of people. Yep. And then South Philly was Italians, and nobody ever went South Philly. You wouldn't come back. You just wouldn't be you wouldn't be found. That was so everybody just, we would fight with rocks and belts and maybe occasionally a knife, but at least you'd come home cut and bleeding.
Yeah. When
you went to South Philly, you just didn't come back. But anyway, but it all breaks down back into this whole thing of tribalism. Uh-huh. And when it comes to the male-female thing, I'm trying to find my way back to where we actually started out this rabbit trail.
Well, yeah, it's not always about, race. Sometimes it's just about turf.
Yeah, turf. And again, one of the main things, it's women. It's our women.
Yeah.
We don't want them to take our women or our men.
Yeah.
It can be such a...
my daughter married a young black man. And, Eddie, I've talked to you about solid advice because this is a new reality for me because, I understand what my grandkids' potential is in the issues they may face. And protective grandpa's got to be there for them and be aware.
But here's the thing. The best thing you can do for your grandchild, your biracial grandchild, is to not let him know he's biracial.
Yes.
My daughter has these friends. They adopted a biracial kid.
And you're half white.
Right.
Yeah.
My kids are quadroon, and we have octoroons under them. But anyway, so this friend of my daughter who adopted this, they adopted this little mixed kid. And my wife used to see her stuff on Facebook. And it's just the worst garbage you've ever seen about her poor black child, and she's got to protect her poor black child against this racial abuse and all. And even my daughter and them said, you guys are out of, they're not friends anymore. They couldn't be because this girl and her husband are just out of their mind. It's like a lot of white couples, take Madonna, Angelina Jolie, some of these movie stars and wealthy people, they adopt these third world children, Africans, Pakistanis, or wherever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like adopting a pet. This homeless pet or wounded pet. Everybody sees these SPCA of these poor, hobbled little creatures, and they want to take them in, and they're going to protect them. So they want to adopt some kid from Zambia or Namibia, and now look at me. I saved this child. No, you didn't. You condemned this child to a life of hell and misery in Beverly Hills. I mean, no, really, because you're creating a monster. You're
making a showcase out of them too.
Well, yeah, but you're teaching, giving them a warped world.
Yeah, because they can see what your motivation is. They know when you're just virtue signaling.
Well, yeah, but even their spoiledness, they will never experience the real world. Yeah. They will never. In other words, they got bodyguards everywhere.
Yeah,
they've got servants and this and that, and then I think in the case of Angelia, I don't know about Madonna's. Half of them end up with sexual identity crises where they don't know if they're a boy or a girl.
Oh yeah, like Cher's son or daughter or whatever you want to call it.
And they don't know what they are, and so they end up growing up as something else. And so, but because they're growing up in an artificial world and they're surrounded, and you're giving them over to other people because you don't have time for them.
Yes.
So you got these other people that are putting stuff into their minds. In fact, I have a movie I want to recommend to you, everyone. It's called, oh my goodness, my mind is gone. I'm sorry. I hate that I brought it up. It's a comedy. What in the heck? I hate when I do this. My mind is
the wealthy,
all the synapses aren't working. I mean, because I'm going everywhere.
Come back. The wealthy, why is it when they feel like they can hire a nanny or ship them off to boarding school, which is very much the thing of the wealthy in England for centuries.
Right.
Like, why? Well, I'm poor, so I'm going to have to raise you myself. I can't afford it. And I'm like, thank you. I get a real dad.
Well, yeah. Let me just give you just the movie I'm talking about. And maybe somebody will remember. But anyway, it was this white politician. He has a son. From the time he was raised, he had a black nanny. And so the black nanny totally raised the kid, but she raised him as a black child. So all his growing up, she had earphones on him, and all he listened to was hip hop music.
Oh yeah,
and black radio, and then she was feeding him soul food, and so the kid down and out in Beverly Hills, I think.
Okay,
right? Yeah, down and out in Beverly Hills, and so he grew up, and in his mind, he was black, even though he was like a multimillionaire and the son of a senator, and it's one of the funniest movies you'll ever see. And so the senator is trying to get his son to be white or act white again. So he hires these black actors to scare him. Instead of scaring him straight, they want to scare him white. Honest, it truly is one of the funniest movies about race you will ever see, because it deals with all these stereotypes. Like he's showing these films and he's talking about, this is this, and this, and this is my home, and it's just this giant mansion up on a hill overlooking the Pacific Ocean. He says, and this is my crib. He said, I know it's not much, but it's home. And it just showing his warped mind, and him and this black nanny and then these black actors, they have to coach each other on how to be black.
Yeah.
To be thugs. And so they're going back and forth with each other, doing their parts, and the guy says, how was that? Did you feel it? He said, oh yeah, that was authentic. And he said, oh, I could feel it. I mean, these are Shakespearean actors, black actors.
Yeah.
And they had to rehearse to act thuggish. I mean, these are the kind of things. But it just shows the stupidity and the silliness of the racial dynamics. You know, I mean, that's okay. It's just crazy.
Let me get to a point on this.
If you get it, you got to go look it up.
Yeah, down and out in Beverly Hills. Yeah. You're a famous interview Mike Wallace did with Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman said, the way you fix the racial issue is you ignore it.
That's it.
He just, don't refer to me as black and I won't refer to you as white, he tells Mike Wallace.
Right.
I think that's very true.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people making a lot of money off of keeping this issue alive.
Race pimps.
Yes.
Yeah. Booker T. Washington talked about it in the 1800s. He talked in his book, in Up From Slavery. Mm-hmm. He said there's a certain type of race physician, he called it, who makes his livelihood out of other people's misery.
Yeah.
And they got to keep it alive because if the patient gets well, he's out of a job.
Yeah.
Then, we'll name him Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, whom we haven't heard from in a long time.
That's true.
I think he finally realized he couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened to him. I pray for the man. I pray that Jesse may have actually found the Lord and decided, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But there's so many of them out there that have replaced him. Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So many of these guys. What's the guy that's on CNN all the time?
Don Lemon?
No. He's kind of a pundit. Bezos gave him a bunch of money, like $1 billion or something. Oh, I can't remember the guy's name.
Oh, Van.
Yeah, Jones. Van Jones. These type of people. Yeah, all of them on The View. The black people on The View, all of these, that's what they're. They're race hustlers.
You notice Chicago is the bed of a lot of this, the incubator of a lot of this. My son-in-law is from Chicago, and I want to respect my kids' privacy, but my daughter was not made to feel welcome going back to Chicago to see his family, and again, probably from black women.
Oh yeah, sure.
Don't like the black men marrying white women.
Right. That's it. It's the reverse racism now. It's totally backwards. In fact, to me, of all of the chapters, there's a lot of informative stuff. Mm-hmm. But to me, the most important chapter in the whole book, I would say, the one that I think I like the most is the chapter from the plantation to the kennel. It's chapter. Well, I don't have chapter numbers. It's on page 65. Begins on page 65. We don't. For some reason, why didn't I put numbers on the chapters? Well, it's okay. But anyway, it's from the plantation to the kennel, and I liken the black community and the dynamic of the black community and its relationship to the broader American economy, to a kennel. A lot of conservatives, black conservatives in particular, like to talk about the plantation mentality. Mm-hmm. They talk about black people still being on a plantation. Mm-hmm. In other words, we're still enslaved, and the Democratic Party is the slave owner. Yeah, and that we're still working on that plantation, which is good. Mm-hmm. It fits. But to me, an even better example today is a kennel. That we have this kennel, and you have good pets and bad pets. Mm. And the good pets are the pampered ones. They get fed better. Mm-hmm. They get treated. They have the jeweled collars, and they get to sleep in the big house and all of this. Then you have the bad ones that, are locked up and treated badly, fed poorly, and so forth. And then whenever one happens to escape from the kennel, they have attack dogs. Oh, yeah. And they let them loose on them. Mm-hmm. And you have those particular attack dogs, like Whoopi Goldberg and the black girls on The View, or what's her name, or what's his name on MSNBC, the one we always talk about.
Sharpton?
No, the other one. Has a girl's name.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I very rarely watch
what are MSNBC hosts' names?
Well, you got Joe and Mika, and I know about them. You got the gorilla, Joy Reid.
Joe Reid.
Joy Reid. Oh, you call her Joe. Okay.
Those are your attack. Those are your attack animals. But anyway, I talk about that in there. But that's what it's like. It's like they've kennelized the black community.
Sure. They're on a new plantation.
Yeah, but it's not a plantation. It's actually like just a kennel that they keep the black community corralled in.
Yeah.
And they have the good pets and the bad pets. And if one escapes, they go.
Right. And they get told things like, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black.
Yeah, and you don't get fed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And the really pampered ones are your athletes and your entertainers. I go through all that. You'd have to read the chapter to see it.
That's available on freshblack.coffee or Amazon, right? You still sell
Amazon or freshblack.coffee, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, hey, listen, boy, wow, man, we have not even gotten to any news today.
Yeah.
We've just been rambling and jambling. But I wanted to cover this. It's just a real simple thing. Since my son is in the hockey world with the Florida Panthers, there's this clip, and this just happened this week. There was a U.S. hockey player playing in England.
In an England league.
Right, in a British league. And there's this one player who was known to be kind of a violent player.
There are some of those, aren't there?
Yeah. But
the token fighter on every team,
Yeah, but anyway, this guy, his name is Adam Johnson. He's a player, and he was going. But anyway, you know how they get into fights and all. Well, he did something, and this one hockey player came by, lifted his foot, and slashed across
his neck.
Adam Johnson is the victim. He slashed across his neck. And the Adam Johnson went running, trying to skate off the field, blood all down the front. And before everybody realized, then he collapsed and he died because he bled to death. I mean, he basically had his
jugular.
He had his throat cut.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to say it was a freak accident. Well, if you look at the video, you can tell. I mean, just imagine how high up you have to get your leg. To get it across somebody's throat.
Yeah.
And you can see on the video the guy raised his foot, and the hockey player should never, there's no reason ever to skate by somebody and raise your foot across.
Unless you're falling on your fanny.
No, and he just skated by.
Yeah, see, there you go.
No, it's clear on the video. You can see it on the Blaze. If you look at the blaze.com, you can see it. But anyway, currently, the media is calling it a freak accident.
God.
Yeah, but many are skeptical, feel strongly Pettigrew intentionally kicked Johnson when his skate was airborne.
It's manslaughter at the very least.
Oh, yeah.
Because even if it is unintentional, that's manslaughter. That is still a crime.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's one of those deals that you just can't. I don't know. I don't know how in the world you cannot, when you look at it and you see what happened, how you can not say it was not intentional.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it was premeditated murder. It was at the minimum premeditated assault. I don't know I don't think he meant to kill the guy, but he definitely meant to hurt the guy. Well,
it's assault with a deadly weapon.
Yes, it is. So manslaughter, you can first, second, or third, you decide in there. The guy has not been arrested. I mean, honestly, if I were on the team that the guy was, Adam Johnson died from, I would refuse to play again, or at least no team should play that team again.
No, the guy should be locked up.
He should be locked up, really. Is what
now, your son handles operations for a major league hockey team, Tampa.
NHL, National Hockey League.
Yeah, and...
Well, no, Fort Lauderdale Panthers.
I'm sorry.
Florida Panthers. Is what
Okay.
they're called.
His job, he's got to have a guy there to make sure every game those blades are razor sharp.
Oh, yeah, they have a grinder that
Right.
they put it through.
And that's, if that doesn't get done and the guys are slip sliding around, your son's job's on the line.
Those skates are razor sharp.
Yeah, because that has to cut in the ice. In fact, it cuts up the ice so much that every period they have to resurface the ice with a Zamboni.
Within the period, they have people they take timeouts, and every timeout they have these either girls or guys and girls, and they brush in, they take them, and then like you said, and in between periods, they have 3 periods between. Then the Zamboni comes to smooth the ice, but they're fixing chips and holes. These girls come skating out with these buckets of ice around the goal area in particular. They're always fixing the ice because they're chipping it up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, we know these are deadly weapons,
right?
These skates, and they belong down low.
Yeah.
So, it just, we were talking before the show about the famous case of Minnesota North Stars. Now it's called the Dallas Stars. But Henry Boucher, actually Chippewa Indian. And he, great hockey player, ended his career, almost ended his life. Because guy just getting so mad, takes his stick and he just, it's like a slingshot. Mm-hmm. And Henry is blind in one eye for life. So it's, and they actually, that was a landmark case. They found him guilty and sentenced the guy from the St. Louis Blues 1 day in jail.
Yeah. See, that even there was a little light to me, but that still was not a case of homicide.
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So he didn't die.
Right.
So at least he was able to live. Or in the famous football case of Jack Tatum, where Darryl Stingley, where he hit him so hard, he paralyzed him for the rest of his life, that Jack Tatum, he had to live with that for the rest of his life. Yeah. But that was, at least at that point, it was a legal hit. Mm-hmm. He just hit him. That's how hard he would hit. Mm-hmm. And that was within the confines of the game. But when you are skating, your skates are supposed to stay on the ice. You don't lift your foot and come across somebody's throat and kill them. I mean, anybody that thinks that is accidental doesn't know hockey or skating. That's just
right. And listen, he may regret that, but you don't need somebody who that's their instinct, because that's what the guy's going off of, is instinct.
Yeah.
And if those are your instincts, then you're not fit.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. That guy's career definitely should be over. And there should, if nothing else, there should be a civil suit ending not only his career, but ending all of his finances. Mm-hmm. He may wish he had a criminal charge against him so that, he's at least taken care of by the state. Because they need to bankrupt that guy for that. I mean, you cannot let that go unpunished.
Yeah.
If they do, then no American should ever play hockey in Europe again.
On
or
a civil suit.
In England.
On the civil suit, you also named the franchise as a defendant.
Yeah.
They hired him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Hey, here's another sports item. Many of you may have or you may not have heard. Colorado, they played UCLA a couple of weeks ago, and after the game, many of the Colorado players. This is one of the things I have mixed emotions, but not on what I'm getting ready to talk about, and I'll deal with it in a second. Colorado players had jewelry, a lot of diamond stuff, and they brought it with them, and it was stolen from their lockers when they were playing. And so Jason Whitlock on the Blaze, he blames Deion Sanders. I know. Yeah.
Is anybody blaming the thieves?
Yeah. Well, Well, yeah. So Deion Sanders wants the NCAA or the Rose Bowl to reimburse the players who lost the items in the heist, but Jason thinks there's only one man to blame for the theft, Deion himself. He says that doesn't make no sense when you're out there. Well, this is apparently Deion. That don't. Let me try to get into my best Ebonics.
Okay.
That don't make no sense when you're out there balling and playing your heart out, but you're getting robbed in the same aspect, Sanders said in a press conference after the game, adding, so I hope we could do something about that. NCAA, you do something about everything else, which is true. He said, so anyway, Whitlock doesn't think that makes any sense. Deion is arguing that the NCAA should reimburse his players for their mistake or some breach of security in Los Angeles. This blows my mind, Whitlock said. Doc Holliday has also did a video criticizing the Colorado coach. Oh, my God, there's someone else out there here in the world who gets it, who knows exactly what I've been getting at, Whitlock says. That's what he's getting at. That Deion and all the rappers, his celebrity friends, the whole movement, it's idolatry, it's devilish, it's wicked.
Oh, God, that's just nuts.
I know it's going over the...
It's
an energy that's being tapped into. Whitlock believes that what Deion is teaching kids in the locker room by bringing rappers who are connected to gang members is setting up situations like the one that happened in UCLA. All of this flash in your face, hey, look at my Rolex after the game. You're putting a bullseye. You're getting a target on your kids. Whitlock.
No.
Exactly. So basically what Whitlock is saying is that Deion invited people to come in and steal his kids' stuff.
It wasn't mandatory uniform. I mean, when Woody Hayes used to have, he made his guys travel in suit and tie. Okay, that's a uniform. Mm-hmm. You know, here's the thing. And it's not the NCAA, and no, it's not the Rose Bowl. The home team has a contractual requirement to the visiting team. Now, UCLA could turn around and sue the Rose Bowl because they contract to use it. That's kind of their home field.
Where's the security?
Right. But I remember putting together a huge presidential campaign rally at ORU about 11 years ago. And the president of the school at the time said, we've got a basketball game tonight. Oakland's in town, and we have to give them 1 hour of practice time uninterrupted this morning. So you can't set up until that hour's in. He knew he had contractual commitments to the visiting team. That's NCAA rules.
Yeah.
And to provide a secret, because they don't let them just take their stuff wherever they want. They say, no, here's where you're going to shower. Here's your locker room. We are required to provide this for you. This is it. They don't let you just decide to, set up tailgating out in the parking lot and call that your locker room.
Well, yeah. So, no, I agree. Now, I don't agree necessarily. But see, oh man, there's so much involved here because I think NCAA sport is totally out of control anyway.
Sure it is.
College players should not be wearing diamond necklaces, earrings, Rolex watches.
That's their personal choice, Eddie. I'm sorry. I'm butting it on you. Go ahead.
No, I'm not doing this because of that. This is one of those moments of tension between it where we disagree. And I what I'm trying to get at, I respect your defense of freedom. You're saying that in light of freedom, individual choice, if they want to wear and take the risk of having their jewelry, their this, yes. And as an insurance agent, I should probably say, yeah,
sure,
you should have it all insured.
Those are all valid points, and yeah, you should probably keep them at home. Yes, that's true too.
Right.
And I'm just saying, unless Coach Sanders says, "Here's your dress code," okay, then you got a dress code.
Right.
But if Deion says, wear whatever you're comfortable wearing.
Right. But still, I agree with you that UCLA, they play in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Yeah. That's their stadium. They should have a contractual obligation to have security to make sure anything that disappears from that locker room, that's on you.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why he's suing the NCAA. They should be suing the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
That's who should be. I mean, who was providing security? Does he not have? He's got all these bodyguards around him, you know. And who do they not? I mean, this isn't high school football. You know, when Union goes to Owasso, is somebody guarding the locker room? I'm sure they have police watching the locker room, even here.
You should.
So who's watching the locker rooms on these college football games?
Because, look, if they were wearing just standard uniform, let's say, like the kids from Cassidy School, when they came to play Noah, and I was with the operations for Noah, they're all traveling in suit and ties because that's their school dress code.
Yeah. It used to be, I remember, Alabama had their crimson blazers and tie.
Okay. So even if they're wearing scruffy stuff and that gets stolen, leave the fact that it's jewelry out of it. For the purpose of who's liable for personal possessions, doesn't matter if those possessions are worth 10 grand or $10. It's who's responsible for the security.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's a bunch of red herrings. Whitlock, he's throwing out red herrings. He's on his own soapbox.
Yeah. Whitlock basically has a problem with Dion.
Yeah, I mean, urban bling.
Well, yeah.
He's a cowboy. Come on.
But it's Dion.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I'm not Dion's biggest fan. My wife thinks he's great. She loves Dion. And
are you jealous?
No. No, I don't. No, I'm not.
He's a younger guy as your woman.
No, he's not her style.
Okay.
She just likes the way he treats his kids because one thing you got to say what I do have to say, certain parts of it's growing on me that he makes no excuses. Like when he loses, he doesn't make an excuse.
That's a butt whipping.
Yeah,
I love that. That's your character.
They just whipped our butts.
He owned it.
We got to go. We got to. He goes and he congratulates the other coach. I mean, he doesn't whine about it. He doesn't, like the Oregon coach just ticked me off when he lost a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember who it was that beat him. I think Washington. And, and he's whining, he's making an excuse, it just, there was just something that came off the guy, just turned me off. Yeah. I don't like guys like that, He just take your licking and go back and regroup. And, even what's his name? Saban. That's the thing about Saban. He loses. We got beat. I got to go deal with my guy.
Yeah, and a lot of the times the good coaches say, they outcoached us.
Yes.
Instead of, he takes the blame first. That's a winner.
Yeah.
Somebody once said the difference between winners and losers, and he goes through a whole list.
Right.
And one thing I like, the loser says, it's not my fault.
Right.
The winner says, I'm going to try harder.
Exactly. And so I do like that about Dion.
Yes.
And I think what has endeared me to Dion as well or Colorado, is all of the attack. Now, as far as all of the people, the hangers-on, all of the celebrities, all the people, Dion needs to say, you guys get lost. I've got a rule, no celebrities allowed in the locker room, anywhere near my team. You guys, if you want to buy a ticket, sit up in the stands, et cetera, et cetera. We'll have a meet and greet away from it. But right now, we're here to play football.
Yep.
My kids need to get serious. This is about football, not meeting you.
Yeah.
Let's keep football here and this here.
Yep.
That's the only thing I would say. But as far as this being robbed and having stuff stolen, somebody dropped the ball on the security. They should just have cameras in the place. And on the lockers and everything, and have a period, when they're dressing, you don't want to have cameras while the guys are dressing or in the shower room. But between this time and this time, you got cameras, then who was in there and who would have done this, Yeah. I mean, that's a simple thing. But somebody. So anyway, whether it's I don't think it's the NCAA's responsibility.
No,
but I think it's the Rose Bowl or
right.
Whoever was hired to provide security.
No, because I'm sure it's spelled out. Because believe me, if you're a Division I NCAA, your contract with the NCAA is volumes long, and it goes into all kinds of detail. By the way, this would be a great segue for my story about Oklahoma setting 2 records today.
The state of Oklahoma?
Yeah. Well, technically, it's college football.
Oh, college football.
On this
You're
day.
talking about which? Oklahoma State?
Well, I'll get into it. The cheapest ticket for any Division I football game is right here in Tulsa. If you go to ESPN, and Vivid Seats is their partner to sell tickets that people can't use. It's like season tickets, but they can't make today's game. It's $2.
For a TU game?
For a TU game.
Wow.
$2. They're playing Charlotte. And it's their homecoming. Last night I was over at David Alexander's getting his Christmas lights up, and he was like, yeah, homecoming is a great weekend. You know, so yeah, I know he's there. On the other end, the most expensive NCAA ticket in America
is in Norman.
No, it's in Stillwater.
Stillwater.
Out on the prairie, the little town on the prairie.
I believe
Stillwater.
That. Actually, I believe that. I agree, yeah.
If you want a cheap seat in the end zone, in the corner of the end zone, it'll cost you at least $289. At least.
Oh, my goodness.
If you want a good seat that's somewhere around the 30 to 35-yard line, they are $918.
Oh, that's why I don't go to those games. You know, it's so weird. I experienced that years ago. Like, see, I was able to buy, get this, a packet of season tickets to Texas Tech.
Yeah.
For $250.
Mm-hmm.
That was 6 games.
Yeah,
$250. Okay. So I bought them online. The Texas game, that's when Nebraska was still in it. Mm-hmm. So Texas and Nebraska, I sold those tickets alone for $500 or $250 each.
Yeah.
So $1,000 for 4 tickets.
Nice.
On eBay.
Yeah.
But I mean, just think about it. I paid $200 and I made $1,000.
Wow.
And my, you know, and I was low. They had people jacking them up even more.
Exactly. You actually made the sale.
And that was when Leach was still there, and you know, but that's how the Tech tickets were inexpensive, and they were actually doing well. They won the conference that year. They tied OU on for the championship.
Just to give you some context, if you went to the Washington versus USC, which both are top 10 teams today,
that's a tough.
And it's in Los Angeles Coliseum.
Oh my goodness,
a legendary venue. And the most expensive seat there is $600.
That's the most expensive. $300 less than Stillwater.
Yeah. You know, so that's how big this Bedlam game is. It is that big.
Yeah, but Stillwater, the tickets are high anyway. What I'm saying is, back then when I paid $250, the tickets were already $100 a game for an OSU game. I remember going there and saying, "Oh, they're what?" Because the Tech tickets back then were like $60 for a home game. Yeah, and you go there and it's like $110 a seat. Yeah, and I'm thinking, what? Why would I, you know, and it was just, I mean, here, I don't know what the deal is in Stillwater, but I guess their people just are used to paying a lot of money.
I got to say, when I first was talking about going to college down here, 1980, summer of 1980, and I was talking to some friends of mine, and I said, oh, that's right. I could go to the OU Sooner games. Now, this is a 19-year-old college kid. I come down here, get a job in Tulsa, and I'm talking to my boss, and, you know, and so, yeah, you know, I'd like to some Saturday make it to a game. He laughed at me. He says, I waited 10 years to buy season tickets. He said the waiting list right now, and you can't buy a single game ticket. You have to buy a season ticket. That's the only way they did it. Right. If you're buying directly from the university, you know. Mm-hmm. And he says, no, tickets to OU home games are things that parents write in their will as to which kid gets it. You know.
Yeah, fortunately, I have a friend, a doctor friend, and he hooks us up with. Mm-hmm. He always has like 4 tickets, but he'll certain games he gives them to different people.
Yeah, and that's how you can't buy just one season ticket. Right. You got to buy a pack of 4.
Yeah,
it's
so he always every so often. Hey, let's see. What shall we go to next? There was something that I wanted to deal with. Well, let's just get to. I'm torn. Well, yeah, let's deal with Sam Bankman-Fried. Mm-hmm. He was sentenced. I guess you knew that.
I didn't hear the sentence. I know he's found guilty.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah. He's found guilty
on all counts.
The maximum, or he could face up to 110 years. Mm-hmm. Which he should. Mm-hmm. But they're thinking they may strip it down to 10 years. And then, of course, the 10 years will probably be stripped down to even less.
So giving money to Democrats is considered good behavior. If he'd given to Trump, they would triple it.
It would be the whole 110 years.
Because that's the way the media is coddling this guy.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. It is the whole situation with, for example, even the bank, Silicon Valley Bank, mm-hmm. that had all the money. Mm-hmm. You know, the SLIC, I call it SLIC. Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation.
I think that got molded into the FDIC now.
No, well, now they have 2 different ones.
Is this still 2 different?
FDIC and the SLIC, yeah.
Yeah.
But one covers savings and loans and one covers the federal deposit.
I know that's how it used to be, but I thought after the SNL scandal of '89, they molded them.
I don't know. I think they're still.
But anyway,
either way,
the federal insurance.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
But normally it insures you up to $200,000 per account or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, they decided in this case, mm-hmm. they insured them to 100%. Mm-hmm. Well, if it was you and I, and we were down here at BOK, mm-hmm. TTCU, you name the institution, and we had $500,000, $1 million in the bank. Sorry, Charlie. Here's your $200,000. But because these were fat cats, Hollywood people, mm-hmm. you know, CBS, NBC, ABC, all these moguls, all these millionaires, we can't let them lose their money because they bet on, because they're Democrats, basically, getting back to it. We got to give them all there are people with $20 million invested in these banks, in this stuff, and they gave them the full $20 million or $10 million, whatever it was. It's just, this is the destruction mm-hmm. of our nation.
Yeah,
our whole system.
From what I understand, the Federal Reserve actually brokered that deal because they were the ones that announced it.
Yeah, but see, why?
Yeah.
Why? They thought it was a good thing. Well, why is it good for them and not good for mm-hmm. everybody else? You know, this is why, it's funny because the thinking used to be Republicans are for the rich guys. Democrats are for the little guy, mm-hmm. the working class. That's flipped totally on its head now.
Yeah, I think part of it would be to shut up people and prevent particularly embarrassing litigation that might come out of it if you...
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's stuff that would come out later. Oh, no, I know. What I'm saying is, the whole reason is because if it really got into it in the litigation, there would be stuff revealed that you
I think
can't
so.
have. Oh, I agree.
And I think the FDIC themselves, well, no, the Federal Reserve.
SLIC. Oh, okay, yeah.
The Federal Reserve themselves, who really made a hard effort to broker that deal, and I mean fast lane broker it. I think they were possibly covering things up. Because look, ever since the Obama administration, when they started buying their own treasury bills, that was something you would never see. Because, and then doing what they call quantitative easing, where they just made up money to give to Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a house of cards.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, you have to wonder if cryptocurrency is any more risky than the shell game that the FDIC is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, Federal Reserve is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, we're just printing money. We're just making up money.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's so much stuff going on right now. It's just, in our national debt is just out of control. I think we're at we're quickly approaching $34 trillion. Mm-hmm. I think it was at 30, I'm sorry, I think it was at 26, 27 when Biden took office, and that's 3 years ago. And so $7 trillion in 3 years, that's just a staggering record amount. Of course, they'll try to say, oh, it's Trump. That Trump did it. Yeah, right.
Well, he cut taxes irresponsibly is what they're saying.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And your spending didn't have anything to do with it, did it? Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you, I don't understand so much, sometimes there's a part of me that gets really, really angry. I become very hawkish. I'm really a very peaceful and peace-loving person. Mm-hmm. But there's certain things that just really bother me, okay? And I think I go, as we call it, Old Testament. Mm-hmm. So, for example, there's a boat. In the United States, we had a boat or ships with supplies going to Israel. Mm-hmm. And so they have this Palestinian boat. I'm sorry. We had it's a Palestinian, supposedly a peace boat coming, and they start blocking the U.S. ships from bringing supplies to Israel. Okay. Now, what I like to call sometimes the evil Eddie, the bad, I would just blow it out of the water.
Yeah, because it's an act of war.
Right. And that, and send a message. Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that boat would show up if it's a Chinese boat coming? No. A Russian boat?
Yeah.
No. Why? Because homie don't play that, right?
Right.
So this shows. It reminds me of the 2020 election. Mm-hmm. What did we keep hearing? Oh, thank goodness when Joe Biden gets elected, the U.S. will be respected around the world. You remember that?
Yes.
Yes. We will be respected and around the world again. Yeah, we're respected, all right. Yeah, this is our respect
they
that we get.
They redefined what the word respect means.
Exactly.
But hey, if Donald Trump was president, do you think that blockade would happen?
No,
they wouldn't even try.
No, exactly, because Trump would just run over him.
You got a guy with resolve,
right? Yeah. You run over him.
Yeah.
That they would realize. No, as Dave Chappelle would say. No, you don't want to do that. That nigga will run over you. I mean, seriously, that's exactly what we said. Don't mess with that nigga. Trump will get you. I mean, seriously, it's just crazy how no, you can't do that. It's just it's silly where we are today, and then Biden is trying to play both sides of the deal. He's trying to tell Israel, oh, respect them. Just have a ceasefire. Let's come together on this thing. And on this side, you got Iran and the Palestinians say, death to Israel. You know, until we drive from the river to the sea, we're going to drive them out. But, oh no, you must stop for peace. You can't have one side asking for peace and the other for total annihilation. I mean, it just doesn't work. And whoever doesn't understand that needs a remedial class on international relations.
Yeah, yes, for sure. No, I just think it's nuts when you hear the same people in a very nonchalant way the weekend of October 7th when the paragliders came in. We're just saying, well, no justice, no peace. And last week they were saying, ceasefire now, ceasefire now. And like, really? You were just saying no justice, no peace when babies were being,
beheaded.
Beheaded,
Women raped, babies beheaded.
Drawn and quartered. I mean, but now you're freaking out because there's a military sweep going on.
Listen, I'm with Israel. I think a couple of weeks ago, I had this whole, for those of you that didn't get to hear this, and I'm going to keep repeating it, about my lesson in Philadelphia about Fair One. Mm-hmm. You remember me talking about it? This is what this reminds me of. Mm-hmm. What the White House, what Democrats are trying to ask Israel to do is fight like they do in the suburbs, when the Palestinians are fighting like they fight in the hood. Mm-hmm. And you can't do that, because if you try to fight like you're fighting in the suburbs, you will get your butt kicked. Mm-hmm. You will die.
Yeah.
You will die.
Yeah.
In the hood, there's no such thing as a fair one. Mm-hmm. There is no peace. There is no coming together. The Palestinians want Israel destroyed. They want Israel driven from the land totally. And what I don't understand is the lack of historical context that so many people have about the whole thing. They don't understand. They think Israel came in 1947 or 46, after World War II. Mm-hmm. They think Israel came in and started driving the Palestinians out. Mm-hmm. The mosque, the Grand Mosque there in Jerusalem, if you will dig underneath it, you will find what?
Solomon's Temple.
Solomon's Temple.
Yeah.
All they did was build a mosque on top of Solomon's Temple that was there for 3,000 years, or 2,400 years, actually.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, you people don't understand history. You don't understand that Abraham was there 3,000 years ago. Okay. Joseph was there. I mean, Jacob was there. You don't have any historical context. You people need to study some world history, get some context on what this is all about. This is not a racial war. I was dealing with the stupid typros. The typros, Tulsa Young Professionals, probably the stupidest group of people
of course.
On earth.
Yeah.
And I was down there with them and had this, who's that supposed Muslim woman leader here in town?
Oh, yeah, you've talked about this.
And she's talking about, the racial prejudice and et cetera, genocide against the Palestinians. And they're the same race. They come from they're all children of Abraham. They have the same forefather, Abraham. Yeah. It's just this offspring went this way and that one went that way. Yeah. Jacob and Esau.
What'd you call it? You call it a family feud.
A family feud. It's a family feud, and they're trying to make it into some racial thing that the Israelis are biased against. It's like the people that keep talking about the Mexican brown people. Mexicans aren't brown people. No. Mexicans are just, some of them are more tan. You got blonde, blue-eyed, Aryan-looking Mexicans, and you got suntan ones. I mean, come on.
It's the same basic principle we just talked about a half hour ago about, the race baiters who cannot tolerate for the issue of racism to go away.
Yeah.
They got to keep perpetuating it. The same's true here. And what happened in September at the United Nations when Netanyahu talked about the peace dividends of the Abraham Accords?
Right.
He says, we are working on a pipeline to take Saudi Arabian oil all the way across through Israel and across the Mediterranean and into mainland Europe so that we don't have to rely on the Persian Gulf naval system with the Straits of Hormuz and all that stuff. Right. And Iran cannot tolerate for that to happen. They need to be able to threaten Saudi oil at any time.
Right.
And it is Iran who's funding all of this with money that Biden unfroze,
Yeah.
And because money's fungible, right? So that's really what's going on here. Is the Iranians cannot tolerate for Abraham's children to rejoin in harmony and coexistence.
And who put into action the Abraham Accords?
Well, Trump.
There you
Trump
go.
brought them all together. Yeah, and Kushner gets a lot of credit for it. He
Yeah.
did the heavy lifting, according to his father-in-law.
This is why they cannot allow Donald Trump to get back into office.
Yeah.
Because he will undermine. See, we think that it's a Democrat conspiracy against Donald Trump. Newsflash. It's an international conspiracy.
Absolutely. The globalists, yeah.
It's not, this is too big for just the Democrats. The money, the motivation, the input, the energy, everything to keep Donald Trump from regaining power in the United States, it's an international effort.
Yeah.
Because if he does, they lose their power.
Yep.
And he can truly, truly upend the conspiracy to essentially destroy the United States. Because if the Democrats are allowed to continue to rule in America, they will, as Barack Obama prophesied, fundamentally change, transform America.
Yep.
That was what he promised. He says, we want to fundamentally change. And I don't know if people weren't listening or didn't understand or didn't want to understand what he was saying. But when you say fundamentally, he didn't say we want to change a few things. We want to tweak this, tweak that. He said fundamentally change America. In other words, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, that's our foundation. That's our fundamentals right there. Everything is built on those. We want to destroy those. We want to change those so that basically instead of the power in America being from the bottom up, we want to transform it to be from the top down. So anyway, that's what's going on, and if we do not, as a people, stand and destroy that power, I mean, it's a spiritual war along with the physical war.
Yep.
We're doomed. I mean, I vacillate between. Forget it. Just let it go. I only have 28 at the maximum years left here anyway. I don't care. Y'all deal with it. I don't care. If it's going to burn, it's going to burn. I won't be here. In the next moment, I want to fight with every
Sure.
fiber of my being so that my kids and grandkids don't, have to deal with it, or I can at least help them. They're going to have to fight. I mean,
Yep.
they're going to have to fight on their own. But come on, I need, and it's not just about me. Praise God, we have Mike Johnson as the speaker now. Let's get Donald Trump back in the White House. Forget DeSantis, Nikki Haley. Come on, just quit playing. Get rid of these people. Put Donald Trump back in. Get rid of these Negroes that are trying to stop him in Atlanta, in New York, in Washington, D.C. Just stop it. Just stop it. Just stand up, rise up, fight against them in every way you can. Get your friends, your neighbors, get everybody to begin praying and fighting against those who are trying to stop him and take back this country on our knees and with our mouths and with our fingers online. Whatever you can do it. But this is it. This is the last. This is Fort Apache. This is Fort Apache, the United States.
Yep. Yeah, I got a few things I wanted to.
All right,
go through.
let's hear them.
Gag orders.
Gag
The
orders.
Supreme Court's put. Actually, it was a court of review. I guess a federal court of review, D.C., is suspending the gag orders on Donald Trump. Now, some of these cases, I listened to this one civil case in New York, which is a sham to begin with. The judge is justifying this gag order on Trump because he says, well, if Trump criticizes any officer of this court, I'll start getting phone calls, which some of them might be threatening. So Donald Trump's not allowed to criticize anything lest somebody else take it too far. You think about it. It's like, Eddie, your shirt's ugly. Oh, Dave, you can't say that. Somebody might call in and threaten my life now. I mean, think of how stupid it is.
Yeah.
They're putting the punishment on Trump for what somebody else does that Trump doesn't even know about.
Well, that's exactly what they've already done with the January 6th thing.
Yeah, and they're doing it proactively, saying he might be the cause of it.
Right.
So, yeah, this is ridiculous. And first of all, how do you defend yourself when you're being subjected to a kangaroo court?
There's only one hope.
What?
One hope. That is that everybody that's on the Supreme Court remains alive, and that these cases get to the Supreme Court here hastily.
Yeah.
Because the Supreme Court needs to basically just say,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
next. What?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Because they're all ridiculous. They're all out, and let the media, let the Asa Hutchinson, you're never Trumpers. I was on TwitX. It was this morning. I was looking, and the Lincoln Project's raising its ugly head again. These guys are a joke. I mean, it's just a total joke.
Yeah.
And they're just on there
they're
still claiming they're Republicans.
They're desperate. While you and I were doing last week's show, Mike Pence was thrown in the towel.
Oh, yeah.
He got nowhere.
Right.
And right now, DeSantis, whom a bunch of our state Republican leaders all got behind and endorsed a few months ago, he's fallen to third place.
I know.
Just about
Nikki
all
Haley's
polls.
taking the lead over here.
And it's, I mean.
She's going nowhere. She's not going anywhere.
No. Fact is, they're all having to fight just to make the 15% threshold to get one delegate.
Right.
So, we've got that happening. There is a sports betting issue here in Oklahoma. It just came up this week.
Okay.
Governor Stitt.
That's a nice transition.
Yeah, I know.
Nikki Haley just said, there's a sports betting.
Well, I know. I'm trying to get done because I'm looking at time.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we need to wrap up. Okay.
So Governor Stitt announced, I'm putting together a proposition for sports betting because the U.S. Supreme Court's ruled that, states can't allow it. And the tribes are mad because they think, even though it's not listed in their gaming compacts, which are unconstitutional to begin with because they're racist, they're Jim Crow laws. Because you have to be a certain ethnicity and member of a certain tribal organization in order to do any parimutuel, gambling. Okay. But we got something that isn't covered under those. And the tribes are saying, you were supposed to come talk to us first and get our opinion on what you're allowed to propose. Because Stitt wants to make it open to every ethnicity, every race, every group. And he set some parameters for it. Look, it's going to be heavily taxed. I'm against all of it. Okay? Not just because I don't want our government to be funded on that kind of irresponsible behavior. Now, sometimes it's just fun and, a kind of a token bet. But no, this isn't what pays for the $500,000 license. And then $100,000 a year plus 20% of your gross receipts, not your net, your gross. I mean, what Stitt's putting forward is it'll have to be confiscatory on the person who actually is the customer in order for it to even make it. So right now, the gaming compact with the tribes brings in $190 million a year to the Oklahoma budget. Given what our surplus has been the last few years, I would like to phase out that contract altogether, let the open market compete for casinos. The tribes still won't have to pay taxes because they're tribes.
Right.
Neither will St. Mary's, PTA be charged for
The
their
bingo.
Right? If it's charity, it's charity. If it's nonprofit, but you've got to quit playing these Jim Crow games. And the Jim Crow laws were passed by a Democrat legislature in Oklahoma and a Democrat governor. And, especially the Class 3 stuff. That's why Brad Henry got elected, was because he was willing to play game with, the same thing 10 years earlier or 12 years earlier when you had David Walters. He made deals. He got indicted for those deals. It was corruption. But the tribes, when they had something they wanted, they played ball. So that's what's going on here now. And Stitt's taking on his own legislature he's taking on because so much of our Republican legislators are owned by the tribes.
Well, yeah, I told you, my friend, the late Representative David Brumbaugh.
Yeah.
He told me that, his first week in office, the lobbyists for the tribes came to see him. And they told him that they're willing to put up to $100,000 into his next reelection campaign. And if he didn't play ball, they would put $100,000 into his competitor, whoever's coming against him. And he was just shocked. It was that brazen. That's how bold these people are in the game they play. So, yeah, it's a tough deal. I mean, you've got to be strong to resist this stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, our new speaker.
Yeah.
Mike Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Bible thumper, redneck Southerner, yes.
Anything else you want to say about
I'm
it?
just quoting whatever
Any more
Joy Reid,
any
CNN,
more
and
flattering,
The View said.
any more flattering word?
Yeah.
The more I get to hear of him, the better I like him.
Oh,
The more they attack him, the better he gets. The deeper they dig, the sweeter he tastes. I mean, it's like this is a no-nonsense guy. The most beautiful lately, or the latest thing is, he has been able to separate the aid to Israel from the Ukrainian aid
And
all the
they
other.
passed it, didn't they?
Yeah, they passed it. The House did, and the Senate, I think, as well. But now Biden is threatened to veto it. but the beauty of it is that this will, for the first time, I believe, expose the Democrats. Mm-hmm. This will put them in direct odds with the Jewish community. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to, now, what's going to happen, the lines are being drawn. Mm-hmm. Because we're going to see if America supports Israel or not. Because those who hate Israel will probably join Biden saying, okay, yeah, this is good. We don't want to give the aid. But either way, Israel gets the aid. Mm-hmm. The only difference is, and this is what's so crazy, it's $14 billion to Israel. But I believe it's like, what is it, $40 billion? I think it's $40 billion to, or maybe 60. It's a much larger, about 3 or 4 times the amount going to Ukraine again.
Yeah, we haven't even seen the final version on that.
Right.
Because that hasn't come up for a vote.
Right. But well, no, it did originally, but they separated. They
right.
Put it, right. So, but anyway, but this will definitely put Biden at odds with the Jewish community if he vetoes this. He's threatened to veto it. He's threatened to veto this clean bill. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that Mike Johnson, the Bible thumping.
Yeah. I do want to say something on that. It's somewhat related. If you remember, there was a time when Trump was president and Nancy Pelosi was having a rather public little tiff with the squad. And Donald Trump made the mistake of stepping in on it. Because then all of a sudden Pelosi and the squad all turned on Trump.
Right.
Right now the Democrat Party, the left, is having its civil war.
Right. Let them have their own.
Get your bowl of popcorn and watch. Right. And let's not deflect. Let's let them fight it out. Because I'm telling you, there are certain things, like you and I both know, Elon Musk is no conservative. Joe Rogan's no conservative. But just Tuesday night, they did a podcast together. And it was earth-shaking. The headlines out of there, I couldn't even go into how many headlines.
For our friends, how can they find that?
Yeah, well, that's, Spotify has the exclusives to Joe Rogan. The Joe Rogan Experience is a podcast. It's the most popular podcast in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And, so you watch it on Spotify for free, but they also are allowed to do clips. Rogan negotiated this with Spotify.
On YouTube, isn't it?
That, yeah, you can watch certain clips on YouTube. But he exposes, Elon Musk does, about why he bought Twitter. It's paid way too much for, but he said,
it was worth
I had
every
to do
penny.
it to save mankind. Rogan was that serious about it. About the, extinctionists that we're fighting on the left. And these guys, if we stay out of the way, those two men alone could take down the Democrat cabal.
What it reminds me of, and then, believe it or not, I'm getting goosebumps hearing you talk here, but Bill Maher, you've got him joining. I mean, more and more, I think we're starting to see the fracturing. It reminds me of 2 Chronicles 20, and where Israel, and I talk about it all the time, but where Israel was surrounded, where Jehoshaphat had just fled. He had joined Ahab in fighting the enemies, and God basically told him not to, but he disobeyed God, and he escaped with his life. Ahab ended up being killed in the southern kingdom, Israel, or northern kingdom, I'm sorry, Israel. They were never heard from again.
Right.
Still today, half of the nation of Israel disappeared, never to be heard from again. So what we call Israel today is really only half of the nation.
And I think it's really mostly Benjamin and Judah.
Yeah, Judah, tribe of Judah, yeah.
And Benjamin.
Benjamin, and there may be a couple of others.
The Levites.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so that became what we have today is Israel, and the rest were never to be heard from. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? I mean, they're scattered somewhere in the world are all these Jews. Well, I mean, if you do your...
I believe that's what the Samaritans were known to be.
Well, they're mixed.
Mixed, right.
Yeah, because, see, this is for free, by the way. It's not going to cost you anything extra. But what happened, when the Assyrians, who are the ones who came in and conquered...
The Northern Kingdom. Yep.
The Northern Kingdom, what they did, the way they used to do it, they would take, when they conquered a people... they would disperse them among various countries. And then the other countries that they conquered, they would put them back into the land that they had conquered. That way, they realized they could eradicate the culture in that country that they conquered. And that's how the Jews that were left later despised the Samaritans, because they had all these other foreign gods and foreign culture introduced into Samaria. That's what the northern part became, Samaria, because it had brought in all these foreigners, and they had the syncretism, which was a mixture of all these different religions and beliefs, and so
mass immigration, open borders. Was all designed to destroy any sense of nationality.
Wow, bingo! Look at that! Way to go, Dave.
The light just turned on.
He just brought it right back home. Exactly. The Babylonians didn't do that.
No.
The Babylonians, when they took a people, they took them out and they left a remnant where they were, and then they returned them.
They kept archives.
Right.
Because when finally Cyrus, who's prophesied,
right,
well in advance of his life, ordered, okay, let's let them go back, he said, and we've warehoused all of the implements for the temple, for temple worship. Here they are. We've kept them.
But you know what's interesting about Cyrus and Darius, and then you know what they were?
Persians.
Iranians.
Yeah.
So isn't it funny that it's... I'm sorry. It's Iranians. Yeah.
Well,
so
that's right.
But that's so funny that
the ethnicity is Persian.
Right. But basically, Persia
is Iran. Yeah.
And it's funny that Iran actually is responsible for returning and creating Israel, and now here they are attacking Israel. I mean, it's just so weird that's But anyway, we're
see. The difference is back then, they weren't Muslim, the Persians.
That's true.
That predated Muslim.
That's true.
And the funny thing about Islam comes from the Arab nations.
The Arabs.
The Persians hate the Arabs, and the Arabs hate the Persians. And so the Shiite Persian Islam is very much at odds.
From the Sunnis. But we're getting a cultural, religious, and ethnic
right. Because remember, back in the 80s, you had Iran and Iraq were at war.
Right.
And it was the Shiites versus the
Sunnis. Yeah. And then you got Saudi Arabia, which is Sunni. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're Arab. They actually have the blood of those, Abraham's seed is in their nationalities, in their tribal ethnicities. Yeah. Persians can't say that.
Right. So I wonder, though, because will God somehow honor the Persians for the good that Cyrus the Mede, Darius, Artaxerxes did to his people years ago?
God will honor those individuals who honored him.
I understand, but God at times does remember the descendants of those that went before.
Right, but he also destroys nations in judgment too.
Right, that's true. So it's interesting to see which way this one goes.
Yeah.
Woo. Yeah. All right, we better get out of here so you can hang some lights. Hey, everybody, this has been fun. we're kind of just getting going. I bet there's people out there that would like to see us really delve into this later aspect. Maybe one day we'll do that. We'll do a deep dive into the archaeological, anthropological, and historical aspects of Judaism and its surrounding enemies.
There you go.
Do I sound like somebody that actually knows something about that? Hey,
those are some 4-syllable words, Eddie.
Yeah. I'm glad my mouth was able to get them out. I just surprised myself.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week. Go Pokes.
There you go.
And you're saying?
I'm with Pokes.
Are you really?
Sure.
Okay, I was waiting to hear a Boomer Sooner from over there. Okay, go Pokes. Oh, which I do have to add, I'm amazed that running back for how is it that Oklahoma State continues to have these? Nobody's ever heard it. Thurman Thomas,
Barry Sanders,
yeah. Chuba Hubbard. What's his name? Who's with Miami now? He's a receiver, but he was a running back. Beat OU. You know who I'm talking about? The little bitty guy. How can I not remember his? Anyway, and now the new one. What is his name? Oh, we can. Well, anyway, OSU running back. And the other thing that makes me kind of feel good, the quarterback. He comes from Texas Tech. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, he was going to be freshman of the year. Then they cracked his rib. It was probably OSU that did it. I don't remember who it was. Somebody cracked his rib, and he was out for the season. He came back the next year, was injured again. Then he transferred to Michigan, played there, or kind of played. Didn't work out, and OSU got him back.
Wow.
And he's just now starting to click. I think he finally feels at home. But let me tell you, for those, I don't think people really knew who he was or much about him. But I watched him his freshman year. He was star-bound. He was going to be as good as Mahomes as far as throwing.
Yeah.
He can't run like Mahomes.
Right.
But he is truly, truly a good quarterback. That's one thing. OSU got them a good quarterback, and now they have a running back to go with it. So there should be a good game today.
Oh, yeah. Listen, if you played OSU back in September, you can be thankful you aren't playing them in November, because OSU is like put everything together all of a sudden.
Yeah, those people who play, the fans, the OSU fans at the beginning were probably, another.
Last week, OU Sooners lost to Kansas. Who beat Kansas? Oh, yeah, OSU did. Beat Kansas and Kansas.
Yeah, but you can't go by that.
Oh, I know, but you know,
kind of
I'm just saying OSU is really put it together in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
They're on a run.
Yeah, they have. I mean, no, I agree. And now OU is no slouch. I mean, they're good. I mean, they're still, but we'll see. Something deep down, unfortunately, I'm pulling for OSU, but at the same time, deep down, I think OU will win.
I think the odds are with them.
Yeah.
But, Bedlam is just a strange
Bedlam
animal.
is Bedlam, and it's in Stillwater.
Yeah.
So, who knows? We'll see. And it's a great, beautiful football weather today.
It's gorgeous, yeah. So, and it's a 2:30 kickoff, I think. Yeah. And
so we better get out so you can hang tree lights and see the game.
Listening to the game.
Hey, God bless everybody, and we'll see you or talk at you next week.